Now this is pushing. This is essential, but it's also important to remember that there could be strikes in here. Just punch. There we go. I do that. I do that. He can't do it to me because he doesn't have the connection that I do. So the setup is what determines whether or not I have that. It's not about, trying to do something. This practice is really good because it teaches you how not to break your training partner.
As soon as he attacks me, if I get any kind of resistance, we give him a gift. But if I can just sit there and absolutely go relaxed, it's not limp. Might feel that way to him, but it is relaxed. And it's totally within yourself. I'm using extension there to prove the point.
Extension, extend but don't protract. If I protract, I'm creating tension and distal pressure. If I don't, if I stay in there and I relax, then I'm creating that connection. So I'm basically just assembling the plumbing, so connecting the pipes for the gravity to flow through. And then when I connect him to the ground, I'm basically releasing the valve and letting all of the gravity flow into the earth. So if I move him, I'm actually connecting to the earth. There, don't try to make me look good for the camera. Just be solid. Do what you were doing before. So from here, as I connect it to the ground, there, I move the feet like that. As soon as I try to push him, I end up hanging on him. But if I maintain the plumbing into the ground, then he's always flowing into the earth. And if I want to issue power, then I suddenly release a lot of gravity into the ground, and it goes like that, and that moves him. And he neutralizes, because he's doing the same thing. The tendency is to try to fight against what he's doing, or to try to make something happen. But if I can keep that energy just flowing into the ground, that's fine. And then when he moves, I follow him, and I follow it, and I change that connection. The connection changes shape as he moves, as the point of centripetal engagement changes, and then it suddenly changes a lot. Now this is pushing. This is essential, but it's also important to remember that there could be strikes in here. And we forget that in push hands a lot of the time. So we forget that there are fists and things. So I say, I got him. Oh, right.
Not really.
So if he's engaging, he does the back fist, I have to engage in a way that keeps him away from me. So if he does the back fist now, that's fine, as long as I keep that engagement into the ground, as long as the needle's going in the right place. And so he's in a position where he should be able to hit me, but he can't because of the engagement to the ground. Okay. I'm not blocking his fist, I'm maintaining the connection to the earth. But if I do it with the wrong point of contact, if I do this, there, that happens. Or if I'm like this, and he punches, just punch. There we go. Okay. I'm not stopping his punch because it's not part of the connection. So I go, no! I have to be able to identify what the threat is. As soon as I try to do this, try to push him, then I'm on his feet. As long as I can keep him on my feet, that happens. So these are going to be small changes in practice, in Twig Show practice. When we're doing push hands practice, these are going to be small changes because we're going slowly enough that we can feel what we're doing, and that's also slow enough so that he can feel what he's doing and what I'm doing. So we're working at a higher level of intensity at a much lower rate of speed. So we're not trying to go, like that and scare him. We're trying to find really, really subtle changes and being able to make changes that can affect him without having to overreact.
You both get the full value of the learning.
Exactly. So we're both doing the same exercise at the same time. It's not like you have one attacker and one defender. Because again, offense and defense are the same thing here. So, and that's because the arms are about connecting to the feet, not about doing something to him. If the arms were about doing something to him, then I would be doing a different exercise from what he's doing. And if he's really good at what he's doing, then it would turn out badly for me. So I maintain that connection, and that's what this practice is. There. And that moves. If I try to do something to him, then he's going to be able to neutralize. There are so many changes that happen in a very short period of time. This is what we were saying before. This is a lousy spectator sport.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's even a really bad demo. When you do demonstrations, I did a demonstration at the University of British Columbia years ago, and there were a whole bunch of other martial artists doing demonstrations, and I did a demonstration, and people went, polite applause for it.
Yeah.
And I was doing applications. I thought I was doing this spectacular stuff.
Yeah.
And Master Liang said, this is very good, but the people don't understand.
Yeah.
And then they went up into the demonstration, and it was beautiful. The crowd went, wow, that's great, spectacular throws. And, so, because what we do looks so subtle, but is...
That's what I love about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the subtlety of it all.
Like you say, the throw that gets you isn't the one you see. People see a boxing match and they think they know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Oh, he got punched in the head and knocked out. Okay, that was the end of it.
Yeah.
But there were 30 things that happened in the 1 or 2 seconds before that that really made the difference. And only the boxers know what really happened. Well, one of them does.
Yeah.
The other guy knows what happened up to a certain point. And so here, this tendency to want to do something really messes with you. But if you can just avoid that. Again, it's like that volleyball.
Yeah.
When, volleyball, you throw the ball up in the air and there's this.
Yeah.
Tai Chi, the Tai Chi practice is mostly about throwing the volleyball up in the air. It's not about the throw or the takedown or that. It's about getting the person here. And then you get to do the throws and the takedowns. So if I can go here, like this, then I can do that. And then I can throw. This is not the practice.
No.
Even in judo and other things, you practice to a point. You don't actually do the throw most of the time. You just practice the setup, because that's where the important thing is. So this is about the setup. And even more so than the setup, it's about knowing where you are in space and time. It's about feeling, it's about understanding where you are on the chessboard. That was a technique.
Yeah.
The push, that was not Tai Chi. That was not the push hands. That was not that. The technique is not the thing. The important part is everything just before that. Right? If I wanted to do a technique, I would drive right into his trachea and then elbow and ribs. So if I'm here, like that. And the setup is all about knowing where you are in space and time. So that could have been a throw, that could have been, let's do that in slow motion. So where we were here, you were uprooted, that's fine. Now, I bounced you instead of flipping you. All right, if I flipped you, you just do a shoulder roll gently. Okay. Then that might have looked like a great demo. Oh, we did a flip in a demo. But if people can see the technique. But if here, I'm done already.
Yeah.
I've done what I need to do in order to win the fight. All that's left now is the winning.
Right.
And I can win in several ways. I can continue the roll, continue the flip, or I can just do that.
Go the other.
But that's just the technique.
It's not necessary in the learning.
Yeah, exactly. Not for practice. But it makes a lousy demo.
Yeah, sure.
And when you do it right, it always looks fake. Right? It should look fake.
Yeah.
So here's a joint lock. Now he's neutralized it. Nobody's going to see that. Right? I had his fingers, I went like this, and I started to apply the pressure, and he just connected to the ground and neutralized it.
Yeah.
So that's, that was really good, actually. Nice. So from here, sure, I could do that. Okay? Yeah, and I could do that. I can do that.
You can do a lot.
Because we're in a dangerous place right here. I'm in the dangerous zone.
Yeah.
But I can do that because I have the connection.
Right.
And he doesn't. Yeah. He can't do it to me because he doesn't have the connection behind I do. So the setup is what determines whether or not I have that. it's not about, you know, trying to do something. Okay? It's about that feeling the connection. And this practice is really good because it teaches you how not to break your training partner. Because one of the hardest things to do in martial arts is to find somebody to train with. That is the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Right? I can try to find people that want me to do that to them all day. And at least one of you has to know what's going on.
True.
You okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like going stretching.
Yeah. It's a bit of a sudden stretch. So trying to move the other person, trying to do a technique, that's it. Yeah. Trying to do a technique is not very useful. Trying to do something practical against a non-cooperative training partner is not very practical. You want to practice your techniques against a cooperative training partner because the technique only works when the other person is allowing it. If they're not allowing it, the technique doesn't work anymore. So practicing against resistance is counterproductive. So instead, you find the part of the person that wants to move and you don't. And once you get them off balance, now you can do the technique. And if you do the technique really well, then you'll still be doing Toy Show when you do the technique, and the technique makes you more balanced and more relaxed than you were before. If you do it incorrectly, it makes you imbalanced. He's very tricky. So there, you just connect me to the ground. That's it. Like that. The technique that works is not the one that is planned.
Yeah.
Unless the other person is on the wrong map entirely, which will happen. If you have the other person at a very low level, then you can usually just walk up and if they're not ready, then you just walk up and punch them in the face and they were not prepared. Right? But if they're prepared, then you punch them in the face. That's going to happen long before you actually punch. In boxing, I need to learn how to punch somebody who's blocking that punch.
Right.
You know how to punch somebody in a way that they're not blocking. Yeah, we started doing something.
Yep. As soon as I started doing something, I'm baked.